Okay. So it says teachers scaffold students reading and writing as they demonstrate, guide, teach, and they vary the amount of support they provide according to the instructional purpose and students' needs. Scaffolding is the amount of involvement the teacher takes in the student's learning process. There are 5 levels to teacher scaffolding: modeled, shared, interactive, guided, and independent. Share some examples of scaffolding you observe in your placements, discuss scaffolding with your mentor teacher, share some examples from the classrooms. I guess I can share. So of my 2 classrooms, in my morning classroom, I'm the only one who uses scaffolding with my children, just because my co-teachers don't really know what it is or how to do it properly yet. I just got them into some trainings on to learn what creative curriculum was, so they can kind of get to where they're understanding how things should go in the classroom. However, in my afternoon classroom, 2 of my teachers use scaffolding all the time. And they use a mix of modeling is probably the number 1 that we use. Interactive is probably next after the modeling that we use. Let's see. And it just kind of depends on what we're doing with how we scaffold. Usually when children, we like to do it when they're in play and kind of scaffold them into talking or broaden maybe what their discussion is that they're having with their peers. Asking those open-ended questions and getting them to talk more about or learn more about what they're doing instead of just, I don't want to say just playing, because they are learning through playing, but we want to be able to show them how to do these things and whatnot.
Yeah, for the 2s and 3s, I like to go with Vygotsky. And when it comes to scaffolding, like it's not so much reading and writing of what we do, but we'll start them off small and we'll use like a top, an easy grasp for them of a marker. And then once they get that kind of down, then we go to the next one. And we'll go to a fat marker for them to grab. Then we work on alligator grips a little bit more, but we're doing different processes to get them ready for their writing, for different activities. We'll do magnet tiles, but we'll only give them certain shapes. Once they get those, then we add more shapes to it. Today, we're only using the triangles. So we only take out the triangles. Then all of a sudden, oh, the squares want to come too the next week. So then we're integrating more pieces to their puzzles and keeping them interested and wanting to learn more about what they have in front of them, rather than just giving them everything and saying, okay, here you go. And then they get bored of it. I almost feel like scaffolding keeps things fresh without needing to, not necessarily like constantly switch out items, but it helps them. Like I only give certain blocks, and then that next week I give more blocks, and then all of a sudden the block area is a hot topic again. In the kitchen, I only give fruits, but then I start putting out meats and different items, and the kids want to go back to those things. But just enhancing their experience by adding more to what they already know or are used to is how I do it in my room.
Yeah, for me,
You
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, Marissa.
No, it's okay. It wasn't full of thought yet, so please go in front of me.
In my room, I do, like you said, more of the modeling. But we did an activity where we were doing stick letters. So I modeled for them. I had like the dry erase board, and I had written like the straight letter shapes on there. And then I pointed to it, and I was like, I use my finger And showed them how to make the letters, and I had them make the letter in the air. And then for the ones, so some of them were able to do it, but just by looking at it and watching what I did. But then some of them needed me to actually make the letter with the sticks. And then once I did that, they moved on to some of them wanted to, once they caught on to it, they were like, oh, okay, I want to make that letter. They want to make the letter E or the letter T or the letter I. So that was how I worked with the scaffolding with them with that to get them, to see, okay, all these are made with straight lines,
Yeah, I think my class really focuses on the first 4 modeled, shared, interactive, guided, just because we do so many centers, and at every center there's an adult there to like help a child. And like some kids will be independent and they'll be like, I know what to do 100%, like you don't have to help me. But then other kids like in my class like need like you to like go over it with them, or they're not going to get it. I think my favorite, like the only, like I like using scaffolding in their like daily routines, not just like when they're learning like at centers or like when they're playing, but like we like transition a lot to room at my school because our room is too small for them to have nap time 6 feet apart from each other. So we transition from lunch to outside to a different room for nap, and then we come back, and then at the end of the day they like pack up. And like the big thing that I've worked so hard to do with these kids is getting them to pack up their backpacks by themselves. And that's like the biggest thing. Like I used to start like by helping them and like getting all of their stuff ready and then having them like do it, but me still holding the backpack. And I've gotten to a point with all of them that I can just hand them their folders and they know exactly what to do. They know exactly if there's stuff in the bottom of your backpack, take it out first, put your folder in, put it all back. And then I've said it so many times that they know. They're always like, pack it up, zip it up, hang it up. And I'm just like, okay, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where they like know what to do, and it's just an easier transition then. And it's something I don't have to worry about. And that I like scaffolding mostly for like normal routines like that because it makes my life easier.
Right.
That's what we did with winter coats in our classroom. Because I got to a point where all the kids kept saying, I can't put my coat on. I can't put my coat on. So then I just decided to show them what I learned when I was little. If you just lay your coat on the floor in front of you,
Hood.
yep,
A little
Flip.
and then you put your arms, yep.
The
So
flip.
now I have them to that, and I have a couple who can actually get the zipper put together. They just can't get it all the way up by themselves. But
Yeah.
at least I can get them to get that part on, and then everything else just goes smoother in that transition.
Exactly.
Yes, the famous flip.
I love the flip. They'll be like,
I recently taught one of my kids the flip thing because
Yeah.
I have about 18 preschoolers that don't know how to put their jacket on
Right.
or zip or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I'm trying to teach the flip thing, and he thinks it's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, teach your friends, show your friends.
Right.
But my favorite is when they do it backwards and they
Yeah.
stand at the normal end and they flip it. And I'm just like, dude, why is your coat backwards
Why's your
and
hood back
inside
at
out?
bottom? Right.
But they get so frustrated, they're like,
Yeah. You gotta kind of talk them through it. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah. I had a
Um,
kid who actually refused to go home until I let him put his coat on. I was trying to help him because they were calling him to go to the front. And he's like, no, I want to do it myself. I was like, okay, so let his
Yeah.
mom know. It wasn't me. He wanted to put his coat on himself.
I have a student like that, and he refuses. Like, he's super independent, and like some things he can't do by himself, but when it comes to like getting ready, packed up, and putting his coat on, he has to do it by himself. And he'll like, I'll be like, are you sure you don't want help? Like, let me just help you with this. And he's like, no. And he like backs up. And like, I have sat there with him before for like 10 minutes waiting for this child to zip up his coat, because I know he can do it, number one, and he won't let me touch his coat and help him. And that his mom's waiting for him. And I'm just like, it was a whole coat thing. I don't want to get into it. I'm scarred. He's probably scarred. It's fine. But yeah.
I feel like you guys all made like really good examples, and I liked all your guys' examples. And your example about like everyday like life tasks. That's something like I work on a lot with my kids in like a structured classroom. So putting on coats is definitely one, because like not all our kids know how to like put on their jacket or like zip up their coat. And even doing like daily things, like we transition a lot because we have like stations. So like checking your schedule. We actually used to have an aide who was free. Like at the time, she would go with one of the students and like show him where to go until like he finally like knew how to do it himself. And then we do like a lot of scaffolding kind of like throughout the day too, just like unpacking the bags, putting it in, knowing what to do for lunch, like getting ready, pushing like our cart. And then we do it for education too. That our kids do a lot of like tracing, and it's kind of like various because like I have some kids who are super like independent, kind of the same way, like they want to do it themselves, or they get like upset if you try to help them. Or I have like other kids who like rely on you and like need the prompts and like won't do anything. Like I literally have a kid in the bathroom and like, you know, he is so dependent on like the prompts, but I really want him to like be dependent in the bathroom, just like, okay, I went to the bathroom now, like, what do I do? I pull up my pants now. What do I do? Like, I washed my hands. Like, he came out once from the bathroom because I want him to like know what to do without like someone telling him. And he had like his pants down, like around his ankles. And he was like, okay, because like that's his thing. Like he'll always say, like, wash hands, okay, like, you know, turn off lights, okay. So he came down with his pants around his ankles. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, you know what to do. Like you just like, you know, like you got it. But yeah, now he's independent. And then another thing too for like learning education, I'll have like pictures that go along with like the words that the kids are learning. So like a hat, like a picture of a hat, or like a spider, like a picture of the spider with the word. And then like if it's the letter S, so it'll be like spider, snake, ski. So like just stuff like the kids can actually like learn from too. So like they're seeing the picture and they're like, oh, like snake goes with letter S, or B goes with like letter, or boo goes with letter B. So kind of like doing that in our curriculum.
I like those ideas. Sorry. I'm like stuck on stupid right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, can't breathe.
Okay, I understand. My throat is getting scratchy. I'm like, oh.
Are we good?
Okay, so are we good?
Yep.